Since the beginning of time, a group of people have remarked themselves as the most intense, courageous, enthusiastic, and intelligent, shaping the sciences and our knowledge of the world since the start of history. They have existed in all societies, and still do, though it is only recently that we have gotten a collective name for this kind of person. An autist. The degree of autism may vary, but all great men and minds of history have shown themselves to be quite autistic indeed, daring to do and think outside of what others consider rational and normal. Though in recent times, people like this have started to be viewed as having more of a disability, and thus a lot of people who would be potentially great are reduced to being raised in some kind of special way to accommodate for their so-called dysfunction. They have thus managed to become the butt of quite the amount of jokes, especially on the internet. One such example of these jokes revolves around the players of this particular game called Europa Universalis 4 just being a bunch of autists. Now, I quite enjoy this game myself, its only drawback for me being that you can't engage in polar exploration, but some others may have something else to say about the game.
God, I hate European people. What was I supposed to talk about? It was like Hoi 4 or something. EU 4 is fucking gay. It's a bad game. It's not even a game. You click on a map and read a wall of text and some colors change. That's it. It's for autistic people. That's it. That's all you do. You just watch a map change colors and you click and that's it. I don't understand. How do you do this for thousands of hours? What the fuck? Fuck you. And it's all about just boring history stuff. You're taking over countries and you're doing things. I don't know. You're not even doing anything. This isn't a game. It's fuck you. Fuck you, bitch. You stupid bitch. You're so dumb. Play an actual game. Fuck you. Die.
While others may have a completely different opinion.
Hi guys, I'm not Blappy, and today I am going to be talking to you about why Europa Universalis 4 is the least autistic paradox game on Earth. EU4 is not autistic. Unlike its autistic counterpart, EU4 doesn't cater to the masses by engaging in political discourse and having the player decide if they're half good, half bad, or something else. The game never falls into the trap of making the player feel like they need to make an autistic man's choice during a campaign. I think I'll go syndicalist. I think maybe I will go communist. Maybe I will go fascist. Maybe I'm gonna go get some pussy. No, you stupid motherfucker. You're going to be a monarchy, whether you like it or not. Republics simply do not exist. This brilliant move on Paradox's side to make the game devoid of politics creates one of the least autistic gaming experiences on the market. Another roadblock to autism that Paradox has implemented is the diplomatic system. Now, if Paradox was making an autistic game, diplomacy wouldn't even exist. You couldn't use your diplomats to talk to people. The game would be devoid of human interaction. But alas, seeing as how EU4 is a strictly non-autistic game, thankfully that isn't the case. The diplomat feature actually works. You can ally countries, you can guarantee countries, you can talk to countries. And for my final point, if EU4 is a game made for autistic people, by autistic people, for autistic people, then how come it's Blappy's favorite game? I'm right, aren't I? Yeah, so that was it, that was the video.
Hearing both of these sides, one might not be sure as to what side is in the right. Luckily for you, that's why I decided to make this video. To get to the bottom of the autism EU4 debate once and for all. For this, I'll be going through a list of symptoms and signs of autism to see if one can assign this to any aspects of the game or the community surrounding it. Some of these will of course also count for other Paradox games, but this video is for EU4 in particular. And so without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. Category 1. Social stuff. It's fairly common knowledge that autists tend to suffer from some kind of social anxiety. This may manifest in overthinking social situations and never being sure of what to say. EU4's diplomacy actions offer a testing ground for improving your social game. But right now, you might be thinking, but Plop, free grand strategy game needs a diplomacy screen to function. And while you might be right on that, it is the way that it is utilized here that makes this case all the more obvious in its pandering to autists. First off, the fact that autists tend to overthink on what to say or do in social situations, or that they really have no clue at all, is represented in the most common way to play EU4. The 5-speed pause method. In this method, the player plays the game in as quick a speed as possible, but pauses and takes his time whenever decisions have to be made. Examples of these may just be a thinking break about how to progress, what outcome to pick for an event, or where to attack in his current war. This provides all the time for overthinking that one with social anxiety may need, and gives them the playing space to test and improve. Also save scumming. There's a reason it's so widespread within this community. Just saying. Not being sure of what to say or how to act is also simplified in the diplomacy menu. There's a reason why you can't write your own insults, as the developers don't want to make this task too difficult for the players of the game. You also don't have to deal with the complex situations you usually find yourself in social circles. They're all just simplified to numbers on the screen, with logical reasons given to these numbers going up or down. With this, marriage can be achieved by just the press of a button. Having stable and long-lasting close friends might also be a challenge to autists. And let me tell you, all of your alliances in EU4 will break eventually. No matter how hard you try to keep them by your side, they always seem to betray you, whether that be in your hour of need or just gradually. Category 2: Repetitiveness. Everybody knows that thing about autism and repetitive behavior, tending to enjoy doing the same things over and over with a set routine. Most autists also tend to be very specifically into one thing, whether that be maths, language, anime, or a certain time period, and can usually talk about this same thing over and over again, going over the same points as before. Now, a lot of people claim that EU4 is a very replayable game, you being able to play all nations of the globe in 1444 and take them in whichever direction you feel is right. These people are autists, plain and simple. You only really play the same thing over and over again, without getting bored of it. You start by conquering some land, conquer some more, gain allies, and do all that stuff over and over and over. You only do it with different countries in different circumstances. Now that's all fine and well for a couple of times, but having that many people who have played this game loop for over 500, 1000 and 2000 hours really just proves my point about this community. This might be because of their interest in the history behind this and the specific time period it's set in. By playing the game over and over and over, they only immerse themselves even more, gaining more knowledge and surrounding themselves even more in said time period. Another part of this, one might argue, is the soundtrack, which if you don't have any extension mods for it, or don't listen to something else while playing, is quite repetitive too. Yeah, I don't think this is all looking in your favor, EU4. That's a big yikes. Right there. Category 3: Numbers and Order. This category is pretty self-explanatory. Autists tend to enjoy numbers going up and keeping them in order. And if you look at EU4, there are a whole bunch of stats to max out and improve your country with. Manpower, discipline, colonial range, administrative efficiency, and the list goes on. Keeping your country to one religion and culture group is also preferable, and planning what to do in the game are key aspects of gameplay. These are to keep your country and game in order. One of the biggest examples of crunching those numbers and keeping things in order is the in-game economy and trading system. The trade in the game works as an entity that gets transported all around the world, which you can concentrate on going towards your trade capital's trade node. You control the trade by owning centers of trade and propagate it further by protecting the trade with your ships and assigning a merchant to the different trade nodes. You can also assign different goals in the trade nodes, like spreading your religion through trade and thus keeping the other countries in religious order, or maximizing profit. If you play all this correctly in the course of the game, you will make bank and maximize your profits way more than if you just conquer mindlessly. Now, over to a thing that EU4 players hate more than almost anything else. No, I'm not talking about minorities. I'm talking about border gore. Just how the borders of a country looks might upset your average EU4 players quite a lot, with them being able to find the borders disgusting. The player may of course also be quite satisfied with how borders look. Again, keeping it in order seems to make them happy. But the point remains. The fact that they care so much about this is another clear sign. This behavior has been made fun of to no end, the just staring at the map meme being the most prominent example of this. All in all, after having looked over the game, I think it's fair to say that the complaints hurled at EU4 for being quite an autistic game are fair. And that makes sense and all, but the thing here that frustrates me the most is the waste of talent that this now creates. Back in the old days, the autist was the absolute Chad, someone everyone looked up to for their dedication and exceptionality, like Fridtjof Nansen, Ivar Aasen, or Leif Eriksson. But now, all they do is getting trapped in computer programs such as EU4 or OSU instead of actually doing something with their lives. This is why the modern world is so boring and stagnant. Think about it. When was the last time something actually fun happened in the world as a whole? I'll let you think for a bit.
Mehr als ein Almosen. Wenn wir sagen, nicht an Reichen, seht ihr den Armen. Wenn wir sagen, deutsches Volk, hilft ihr selbst. Viel soll sich nicht
Brauchst du unser Panzer, ich stürm nicht dahin.
And when was the computer first invented and being used? Yeah, I thought so too. Wait. It's the fucking Anglos again. Woo! There is a direct correlation here, and I won't have anyone else tell me otherwise. Now the world is way more stable because the autists are away on their computers doing whatever. And while this means peace for the most part, this means we can't have as much fun stuff around anymore, like the Franklin expedition. At some point, you just got to ask yourself, is that really a world I want to live in? Hey! You made it to the end of the video. I'm having this post-video segment here, because I'm doing a comment contest. The one with the most liked comment wins, and I'll be forced to read what he wrote out loud at the end of the next video. So please, do your worst.